Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. It's so good to have you here. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful off-shoulder bustier gown with A-line shape at the down part and pockets inside. This is both pattern drafting and sewing, and it is very beginner friendly. So I'm going to start with the front pattern, and I'm going to remove 5 inches counting from my shoulder to where I want this off-shoulder bustier to start. Okay, so I'm coming down by 5 inches from my shoulder, and I'm marking my bust point at 11 inches, my under bust point at 15 inches, my waist at 18, and the length of this top at 22. So at this point, I didn't know, or I didn't think to make this a gown. Okay, initially it was going to be a top. That's why the length is as long as 22 inches. I'm still going to reduce this for the gown. Now the next thing to do is to take nipple to nipple measurement. So you divide your nipple to nipple by 2. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches divided by 2, which is 4. I'm going to mark 4 inches right there at my bust line. Now from my under bust line down to my length, I am going to remove 0.5 inches from my nipple to nipple measurement. So I'm marking 3.5 inches down from my under bust to my length, while at my bust I marked 4 inches. Okay, now the next thing to do is to come to the chest part of this bustier top. Right on top here is the chest part. Whatever you have at a nipple to nipple for your bust, you add 0.5 inches at that up part. Okay, so what I just marked right now is 4.5 inches. I have 4 inches for my bust, so I marked 4.5 inches at that chest part, and then just connect that line back to the bust line. The next thing you want to do is to go out by 2.5 inches from your under bust down to the length of your top. So right now I am going out by 2.5 inches for my under bust, for my waist, and also at the length I am going out by 2.5 inches. This is for your bust darts. Okay, now when you are done with this, the next thing you want to do is to connect a curve from your bust to your under bust, just like so. You connect a curve like this from your bust to your under bust. Now when you've achieved this, you want to come back to this top part. This is your chest point. Okay, come back to this place. Then from this first line, go out by 2 inches. This is for your upper bust tightening. If you don't do this, your top is going to be gaping when you put it on. So you go out by 2 inches, and then you connect that line back to your bust points. And that is it for your upper bust tightening. The next thing is to get our armhole. So from my bust point, I am going up by 2 inches. So right there is going to be my chest line. Then the next thing to do is to come up to this chest line again. I'm going to come up to this chest line again. I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement here. Okay, so my shoulder is 14 divided by 2, 7. Then I'm going to replace this dart. Okay, I'm going to replace this 2 inches dart up here. So I'm going to mark 9 inches. So whatever your shoulder is divided by 2 plus the 2 inches dart that you took for the upper bust tightening, you mark it. And then right there at your chest, you also mark the same thing you have for your shoulder and connect the 2 lines together. Okay, hope you understand. Then when you are done with this, the next thing you want to do is come down to your chest and get your bust round divided by 4. So mine is 36 divided by 4, 9. Then I'm going to be adding back these 2 inches dart that I took away, making it 11 inches. So right here, I'm going to just draw a curve, and this is going to be my armhole. Okay, this top is going to be having a sleeve. Then for the sweetheart neckline, at that center front area, I am going to come down by 2 inches. You can make yours deep up to 2.5 inches if you want, but for me, I came down by 2 inches. And I'm going to connect a curve from this first line dart back to the center front to form my sweetheart neckline. And that's basically it for this. The next thing you want to do is to get your round measurement. So for my chest, I am getting my round bust divided by 4, which is 9 inches, plus the dart right there that we're going to be cutting away, plus my seam allowance. Okay, and I'm going to mark it right there. This is the same thing for my bust. So I'll come down to my under bust, and you can see that the dart in the middle is 2.5 inches. I'm going to be replacing that. My under bust round divided by 4 is 7 inches, plus the 2.5 inches dart we're going to be cutting away, plus my 2 inches seam allowance. I am going to mark that. And this is the same thing for my waist. So I'm going to come down to the length of my top and also get my round measurement divided by 4, replace my dart, and also add my seam allowance. And that's basically it for the front part of this top. Okay, you can see what it is looking like. So please do look carefully at the areas that I am cutting out, just so you don't make mistakes. All right. So guys, that's basically it for the front pattern drafting of this bustier top. Now let's get into the back pattern. So I already have this basic bodice for my back pattern. It is the same thing for the princess dart tutorial I just dropped. I'm going to leave the link up here to the princess dart tutorial. This back pattern is just the same thing that I used here. So I'm going to place my tape rule here at the shoulder point, and I'm going to come down by 5 inches, which is the same thing we came down by for the front pattern. Okay, so I'm going to come down by 5 inches and I'm going to rule a line there. Then I'm going to go ahead and fold this pattern paper so you can see. So you can see what it is looking like. Now when you place the front piece on it, you would see that it is basically the same length again. Okay, it's just the same thing, coming down by 5 inches from your shoulder, and you can see that it is the same length with the front pattern. So what I'm going to do now is to mark my desired neckline for my back pattern. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this curved neckline because I want it to be kind of curvy at the back, so you can see what the neckline for the back is looking like. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and that's basically it for my front and my back pattern. So the next thing now is to cut this on our fabric and get into sewing all these pieces together. So I've gone ahead to cut this out off camera. This is the center piece, remember to cut on fold, and this is the side piece. Now we are going to be joining this, okay, joining the center piece to the two side pieces. And how I normally join this is to start from down and work my way upwards. All right, I start from down and work my way upwards. I've also gone ahead to cut out the lining pieces. I'm going to be also joining this together. So I'm just showing you guys exactly how I join this on my sewing machine. This is I'm joining right now the center piece to the side piece, and I'm coming from the down part and working my way up, so you can see how I am joining this together. This always works very, very well for me. I love the shape when I'm done joining it like this. Okay, so go ahead to please nudge that bust area, and this is what it was looking like when I was done, so you can see how beautiful this is looking. So if when you are done and at that top part the length is not equal, it's not the same, just go ahead and trim it off, and nothing is going to happen to your top. It's still going to come out very nice. Just go ahead and trim off the excesses. Okay, now I've gone ahead to also join the lining pieces, and the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead to turn this with its lining. So I will just turn everything out except the down part, because this is going to be a gown. So I've gone ahead to turn this out both at the armhole area, the top part, except for the down part, and this is what it is looking like. Now for the back pattern, I've also gone ahead to cut this out on my fabric, and I fused this with this cloth stay. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to turn this out with its lining, and when I'm done, I'm also going to go ahead and hold in my dart. Okay, so to hold in your dart, just basically place your pattern paper on your fabric and just nudge where your dart is and go ahead to stitch it in on your fabric. Okay, so I've gone ahead to turn this out, and you can see what it is looking like, except for the down part, because we are still going to be joining this to the skirt parts to make it a gown. All right, so guys, for the skirt part, go ahead and fold your fabric into two. You can see I'm going to have to fold my fabric into two, and I'm going to cut the back pattern first. So I am measuring from my waist to the length of this gown. From my waist to the length of this gown is 25 inches. It's 24 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance, 25 inches. Then the next thing I will do is to come in by 2 inches for my zipper allowance. Okay, because this is the back part of the skirt that I'm drafting out. So I'm going in by 2 inches for my zipper allowance, and I'm going to just rule a line across there. Then when I am done, I am going to start taking my measurements, and for all your measurements you will take that after your zipper allowance. Okay, so right now I am taking my waist round divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, my waist round is 7 plus 2 inches seam allowance, making it 9 inches. Then here I am marking from my waist to my hip. So right there where I marked my hip, I'm going to take my hip round divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then when I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and connect from my waist to my hip and then down to the length of my gown. So go ahead and connect from your waist to your hip down to the length of this gown. And then the next thing we are going to do now is to draft out that A-line shape that you see at the down part of this gown. So at the length of the gown, at this length part, you are going to come out by 4 inches. I came out by 5 inches. It was too much. I still had to go in to reduce this. So you can come out by 4 inches. That is okay. So come out by 4 inches and draw this straight line back to that your hip line. Okay, so you can see where this line is going to stop at is at that hip line area, and that's basically it for the down part of this gown. Now for the pocket, I'm going to draw a curve from my waist to the hip point. So you can see this curve is going from my waist to the hip point, and this is just it for how to draft out the pocket of this gown. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and when I'm done, I'm going to place this on my fabric and cut out the front pattern, because this is the back pattern that we just finished cutting. So for the front pattern, I'm going in to fold in that zipper allowance area, place it on my fabric like so, and go ahead to cut out the front. And the front is going to be on fold also. Okay, the folded part is going to be the center front. All right, so I'm going ahead to cut this out. You can see, so this is the front. You can see what the front is looking like with the pockets and everything. So it was looking funny to me here. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but it eventually turned out very nice. So yeah, this is what the front part of the skirt part of the gown is looking like, and this is what the back part is looking like. So you can see this is in 2 pieces. Go ahead and also please nudge that your zipper allowance area, and this is what this part is looking like. Now the next thing we are going to do is to join our top pieces to the down pieces. Okay, join the top to the skirt parts to form a gown. Now for my top, remember that the length of this is as long as 22 inches and it's too long for a gown. So I'm going to place my tape rule, making sure that I place it at 5 inches at that shoulder part. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead to cut this out at the half length. So my half length is at 18 inches. I'm going to cut this at 19 inches. All right, if I go ahead to join it like this to the down part, it's not going to give a very good shaping or a very good finishing. So I'm going in now to reduce this back to my half length, and I'm going to be cutting it out at this 19 inches. So you can see what this is looking like right now. So yeah, this is what it is looking like. So I'm going to be also doing the same thing for the back piece. Place my tape rule at that shoulder part up there at 5 inches, remember. Then I'm going to place from 5 inches there. Then I'm going to mark 19 inches. I'm going to also be cutting this away as 19 inches. Now guys, for this back pattern, okay, don't forget to hold in your darts. I always forget to hold in my darts. Please don't forget to hold in your darts before you join these to the down part. Okay, so when I'm done with these, I'll go ahead to hold in my darts, but I did that off camera. Okay, so please go ahead and hold in your darts. Now for the front piece, I'm going in to get the middle part by folding this and nudging it at the middle part. Then I've also gone ahead to nudge the middle part for the down part, that's for the skirt part. Then I'm going to go ahead and join this and join the top part to the down part. And how I love to do this is I am going to place the lining piece first. This is the lining piece for the front part of the skirt. Then go ahead and place the top part, okay, lining to lining, just like so, making sure that it meets at that center front. Then go ahead to place the main piece of the skirt part on top. This way, my top is going to be in between the skirt and the skirt lining, okay, and everything, the allowance is not showing inside, okay. This gives a very neat finishing when you are done with stitching this. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this together all round and stitch it round. Then I'm going to just leave a very small opening at the down part where I am going to turn everything out from, okay. So you can see I'm going ahead to pin this all round. Then I'm going to go ahead to stitch this round, stitch it from the top down. So I'm going to also follow that curve of my pocket, go ahead to stitch it round, follow that curve of my pocket. Then I will leave a small opening where I will turn everything right side out. I'm also going to be doing the same thing for my back piece. You can see I'm placing the upper part in between the skirt and the skirt's lining, and I'm going to stitch this round following that curve of my pocket also, and leave a small opening. So I'm done with the front, and you can see the small opening down here where I am going to turn this right side out from. So I'm going ahead to turn this now, and you would see what it is looking like when I am done with turning this. So guys, can you see what this is looking like? So this way you don't have any allowance showing inside, okay. So please also go ahead to bring out your pockets and go ahead to bring out every area that is not coming out very well. You can use a scissors to stick it out, and that small piece I'm going to just go ahead and top stitch right there. Please do make sure to go ahead and iron this very well when you after turning it around. Please go ahead to give it a very good press. Now for the back piece also, I've gone ahead to also stitch this round, and I have this small opening to turn it right side out, and you can see what it is looking like. And I did this for both the right part and the left part of my back piece. Please do make sure to iron this out very well when you are done. The next thing I'm going to do is to join the front piece to the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and shape this out now. You can see I'm just going ahead to arrange the front piece on the back piece. Then I'll go ahead to shape this out, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch it. I'm going to follow the curve of that pocket round, then stitch it down. So I've gone ahead to join this, and I've also gone ahead to fix in my zipper, and this is what it is looking like. Guys, I hope this tutorial is not too fast. This video was getting too long, so I had to be kind of, you know, fast. So this is the pocket. You can see the pockets are inside. So this is basically it. And then the next thing to do is to cut my sleeve and fix my sleeve. So for my sleeve, first of all, from the starting point, you will come down by 4 inches. So you can see I'm marking 4 inches right there. Then from these 4 inches, I'm going to mark the length of my sleeve, okay? So I'm going to place my tape rule at this line, which is at the 4 inches point, then mark the length of my sleeve. The next thing I'm going to do is to draw a curve from that starting line down. So guys, I have a very detailed tutorial on how to draft out a basic sleeve pattern, okay? So at the down part, I'm going to mark my wrist round, okay? My wrist round, and then go ahead to connect from this armhole curve down to the wrist. And that's basically it for my sleeve. Then remember that I came down by 4 inches. So from this up part, I'm going to also trace a curve back to that armhole line, okay? So this is going to form that puffy look that you see on top of the sleeve. This is going to give you that puffy look that you see on top of the sleeve, okay? And that's basically it for my sleeve. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. Now you can see what the two pieces are looking like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold this armhole curve. I'll go ahead and fold this round, and I'm going to be using an elastic band on top of there to form that puffy ruche that you see. Then for the flare as the wrist part, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the flare right now that you see at the wrist part. So right here, I'm going to get my wrist round, okay? So my wrist round is around 7 inches, but here I just marked 5 inches there. Then go ahead and draw a curve. Then from here, I'm going to mark the length of the flare. The length of the flare is 6 inches. So I am marking 6 inches round from this curve. And that's basically it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So this is 2 pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and join this together to form 1 piece. Then I'm also going to be cutting away another 2 pieces that I'm going to be using as the lining, okay? Because you don't want the back parts to be showing when you put on your sleeve. So I'm going to be using these 2 as the lining. So I'm going to join this flare here to the wrist part of our sleeve. So you can see I'm going to go ahead and join it like so at the wrist part. So I've gone ahead to join my sleeve to my gown. So you can see that down part. I used the other flare as the lining, and you can see the up part. I've gone ahead to put in my elastic at that up part, and this is what it is looking like. So yeah guys, this is the end of this tutorial, and I hope this tutorial has been helpful. Yeah, and especially how to draft out an off shoulder bustier. I hope that was clear, very clear enough. So yeah, that's basically it for this tutorial. You can see what the gown is looking like. This came out really nice, came out very beautiful. So guys, I'm going to be dropping a detailed tutorial on how to properly pad your bustier, okay? How I cut my breast pads, fuse it in and stitch it in. I'm going to be dropping a detailed tutorial on that. So guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial, and I hope this tutorial has been helpful to you and you've learned 1 or 2 things. So yeah, if you're here to join the family, please do click the subscribe button down below to join, and like this video if it has been helpful to you. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.